So, if I tell you that one of the best signings that Arsenal made was Andrea Berta, and I think Andrea Berta and Edu, because all what that is happening at Arsenal, it's because of those two people. If you doubt it, argue with your keyboard, but facts are written all over the clean canvas. Edu Gaspar found Arsenal when it was really, really, really off the track. He came in through, sacked the manager known as Unai Emery, and he sold a project to the board, and the board gave him a benefit of doubt. And by the way, there are three people, because you even have to give the board its flowers, accepting Arsenal to go back to square one. That was really brave for the club known as Arsenal. If you know what Arsenal is and what the fans of Arsenal had been thirsty for, because Arsene Wenger was there because he last won the Premier League in 2003-2004, and he was there for more 12 years. 12 years to 2016, and had not lifted a Premier League. And when they brought in Unai Emery, Arsenal fans thought that maybe things would change. And if Edu was allowed to do what he did, you have to really give the board its flowers. So it's the board. It's the board, Edu, and Andrea Berta, because the board came up with a decision to bring in Edu Gaspar. You know what Edu Gaspar did at Arsenal. I don't want to come here and obviously go ahead, and really elaborate, because you know exactly what he did and why the board was really very important in all these decisions. It's because they got to know that they needed someone like Edu, who was less experienced but knew what he was doing, and was good at scouting players that are really gonna be the next, Now, when he brought in all the players he brought in, and the board realized that Edu cannot take them to the next level, they obviously parted ways and brought in Andrea Berta. Andrea Berta, in this recently concluded summer transfer window, you've seen what he has gone ahead to do. It has been massive and very, very top-notch. Why has it been massive and top-notch? I tell you, out of the 7 players that he signed, no player has shown signs of flopping. It shows you how good he is and how he went ahead to study the squad of Arsenal to know which player is needed and which player is not needed at the club of Arsenal. You understand? So this time around, they've gone ahead to obviously fish out another one. And it's Andrea Berta going to Italy to get in Maurizio Micheli. So Arsenal is really going to turn out to be one of the hardest teams to beat, because they are building a technical team that is really top-notch and world-class. So welcome to the Rokani Media Football. How are you guys, and where are you watching us from? I'll go by the names of Rokani David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, here we come to obviously bring you a lot in here onto our channel. Now, as Arsenal is planning to obviously strengthen itself and obviously widen its scouting scope, to match the levels of those big clubs that really have big scouts in there. Sammy McBell, tier 1 journalist that works for the BBC now, has told us that Arsenal are in advanced talks to appoint Napoli head of scouting, Maurizio Micheli, into a leading recruitment position. Micheli has been credited with the identification of players such as Marek Hamsik, Kim Min-jae, Kivisha Kvaratskhelia. That is it. They add on and say that. Why is it taking long to load? Mr. Browser. Andrea Berta has identified Micheli as a key appointment to his team. Now, if you heard about the 4 players that Micheli has gone ahead to scout, here they've told us 3. Marek Hamsik. Unless you are not a football fan, but you know what Marek Hamsik is. Kim Min-jae, He was once the best defender. You know, that season where they won the Scudetto, that Napoli had gone to take 30 years without winning. They played well in the Champions League. I think they are knocked out at the semi-finals, if I'm not mistaken. Kvaratskhelia, you know, he's one of those that I've been talking about, you know, and he's a player that I love. And if this guy has been at Napoli and he has been able to really bring in those players, and the other one is Koulibaly, that defender that plays for Senegal, came in at Chelsea in there. You know, he has a very touching story that a team, Man United, brought in £75 million and it was turned down by Napoli, you know. You understand? But he was once a world-class player by that time. So, all I want to let you know is simple. Arsenal is trying to strengthen their scouting team. And most people are really looking at that. But for me, I'm not looking at that angle that I'm going to bring in a guy that's obviously going to be doing the needful to obviously strengthen. But I'm looking at a level of if he has been able to recruit such players at a club known as Napoli that is nowhere close to Arsenal in money, global brand, in success. Guys, what if he comes in through at Arsenal? Because he'll be having more resources to obviously use, and his scouting department will obviously do the needful, you know, and he will obviously recruit in very good players as his scouting scope is really very good. You remember man known as Ralf Rangnick? Man United missed out on an opportunity of really having a player like a manager like him. You remember the players he recommended to Manchester United that couldn't even cost 100 million euros. Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez, both still at River Plate, and that pair could cost United below 50 million euros. He talked about Akanji. He talked about Micheli. He talked about this guy that plays in the midfield for Bayern Munich, you know, plays for Austria too, you know. He talked about 5 players and their cost couldn't exceed 100 million euros. Now, I think this is what Micheli Andrea is going to bring in at Arsenal, you know. But the question is, he's coming in through at Arsenal. Arsenal has gone to that level of really signing what we call finished products. You understand? You know, I don't think that there's going to be more room for a player who is not a finished product at Arsenal, unless otherwise that player is that special. Like you see Mosquera, Piero Hincapi, you understand? But next summer, all this upcoming January transfer window, I tell you what, Arsenal will do the needful to bring in finished articles. And is he good at scouting finished articles? All the lad known as Andrea Berta is like, for me, I'm good at scouting finished articles, but Micheli is good at really scouting players that are obviously going to be the next big projects. And for those next big projects, he can bring them through, maybe we loan them, and maybe even get some good money out of them. Because if Arsenal can get in players like Koulibaly in their early 20s, Merek Hamsik, Kvaratskhelia, Kiminje, and for Kiminje, he scouted him all way from Asia. So it shows you that his scouting scope is really huge. And wait for the next players that Arsenal obviously going to be bringing in, you know. So that is it. Andrea Berta has added another guy onto his team, and this makes me wait for what recruitment Arsenal is going to be making this summer. That is it. Because if their recruitment is obviously having these two people who have gone ahead to do the needful, guys, I tell you what, there is something special out of this. So, what is your thought about Andrea Berta fishing Maurizio Micheli as new Arsenal scouting head of scouting? And he has done this job, you know, from Udinese. He was a scout. That was in 1996 to 2001. Brescia, he was a sporting director. 2001 to 2010, he spent there 10 years. at Napoli. He first went there in 2010 up to 2015. Then he left, went to Hellas Verona. He was the head of scouting 2015 to 2016. Bologna, chief scouts, 2016, 2018. And obviously, head of scouting at Napoli again for the second tenure, 2018 to 2025, meaning that he has been there for 7 years. And on his profile, there is something that Arsenal has gone ahead to appoint him. And we wait to really get that news that Arsenal has gone ahead, obviously, get him in and see to it that he comes in through and really does the needful. Feel free to go into the comment section. Tell me your thoughts about this lad. What do you think about him? For me, I think he's a very huge addition to the club of Arsenal. You understand? I'm out. Bye-bye.